For some, being out of the sea can be a voyage towards connecting people. Some voyage to search and find their true selves. Others see it as a healing experience. And for some, to find out what lies for them out there. Our guests tonight are a true example of this. They had a goal, they stood tall, and followed their dreams, though being out of their sea. Let's welcome our Heidi Ghanem, an engineer turned baker, Yasmine El Baggari, the wanderer entrepreneur, and Dr. Uzma Raheem, the founder of Hope KSA, the Hope Giver. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's start with Heidi. Heidi, how long have you been out of your sea?
I have been out of my original roots, my environment that I was born in, for almost coming up to a 20 years time now. It's been difficult in the beginning for sure. I was really homesick in the first few years. I kept going back. I found it a bit hard to integrate with everyone around you, especially that the environment that I was in didn't have a lot of people who spoke the same language, who didn't have the same tradition that I'm used to. And so it was a little bit hard and intimidating for me to be thrown into a whole new waters and just trying to paddle my way through. By now, I kept trying because I had the option of going back was not there. I had to succeed. This was a big challenge for me, and I had to prove that I can do it on my own. So it's been a beautiful journey to discover a lot about myself. The perseverance that I had, that in making sure that I will do this no matter what. There was many falls, there were many disappointments and setbacks, but I just kept going, and a bit by bit, time goes on, and you find yourself. Every step you take it, you find a piece of yourself that you did not know that it even exists. And this was, such an amazing discovery, and it's been a beautiful journey so far.
That's amazing. So, what about you, Uzma? How long have you been in Saudi Arabia?
49 years. I was a
Oh,
baby.
mashallah,
Yeah,
mashallah.
I was a baby when my parents came over here, and it has been just so long that that you can't really say that I've crossed borders. Saudi Arabia's home, and there's one standard line that I use all the time, and I think that's applicable to so many of us, that that I may not belong to Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia definitely belongs to me. So I look upon the land as my land, because, wherever you go, I believe that you need to not only assimilate into the culture, get to learn about it, live that culture, but also to love that land. What a lot of people know about me is that I'm an award-winning psychologist, but what they do not know is I'm a very avid gardener. And I started gardening more than 25 years ago, and people are shocked at what I can grow. I tell them the reason I'm able to grow is because by now I know the land. You need to not only have a love for the land, but you need to have the sense of belonging to the land in order to grow. So I feel I've been planted as well by my parents, just like I'm planting the other seeds. I have been sown myself by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think I'm growing in a spot which has actually suited me well. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yani, that's great, really. I think you're practically a citizen now. And you're also doing gardening. So that's amazing.
Well, the soul belongs to the land. The soul belongs to I don't
yeah.
have the nationality, but my soul belongs to Saudi Arabia, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
For sure, because I know no other home. This is the only place I've known since my parents brought me here. So, yes. And whatever your soul recognizes is yours.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yes, alhamdulillah. So, Yasmine, how long have you been traveling around the world? Did you get to explore all the breathtaking spots?
First of all, thank you, shukran, for having me today. It's a real honor to be speaking to all of these incredible women from my part of the world, and it just inspires me to be in this space. And for me, I started traveling since I was 17 years old. I left home. My home is Morocco. My country of origin is Morocco. And I left very young at the age of 17 because I had this burning desire and passion to see the world and really understand whether whatever I was hearing about everyone else and other cultures, if it was true or not. So I had to go and meet the people and find out. And I realized that the land is actually home everywhere. And that was my big realization, that I belong to Morocco, but I also belong to planet Earth and the universe.
Oh, wonderful. So being out of the sea is not that bad. So yeah, you can find your home out of your sea.
It is special to come back. I've spent the last year in Morocco by the Mediterranean Sea. So I love that the name of the episode is Women Out of Their Sea, because I've literally been by the Med Sea all year. Although now I'm in Fez, the spiritual capital of Morocco. But it is special to be back. It is special to be back after 10 years being everywhere, and to reconnect to my roots and my origins.
That sounds splendid. You're living the dream, huh?
The human dream, yeah.
Yeah, the human dream. That's great. That's great. So going back to Heidi. Heidi, can you tell us more about this concept of an engineer turned baker? How did it start and why? Was it because you needed something to fill your time while being in a new country, or was it a hidden passion that waiting to get discovered and get out all along?
It wasn't really, maybe it was a bit of both. It did not start right after I left my home country, which is Egypt. When I left, I came in here and started a new life. I was busy establishing my roots into this new place that I call, home now. Coming to Canada was not the easiest thing in the world, but it was a very exciting new beginning for me. I came in when I was fairly young, and it was a new world open to me. It was the first country that I live in, well, not the first, but on my own, because I was born in Egypt, but I lived with my parents in Saudi Arabia for about 12 years. But then I went back to Egypt, and then from there I came to Canada. So this coming to Canada as an immigrant, meaning that I would stay here for a long time, and I had to make sure that I start a new life on my own here. So turning to the baking thing did not come even until maybe 15 years after establishing my life here. Through this 15 years, I was just, as Uzma called, making Canada my new home. It's my land now. And once you get well established, then you spread your roots into it, and then you find new passions to not to fill the time, but to make life complete for you. So after 15 years of working hard and getting busy with family and everything, then some aspects of stress start to creep in your life a little bit, and then you look into some stress relieving techniques to cope with everything. So to me, baking was a stress relieving strategy. I've loved baking since I was young. My mom back home we always had something baked in the house, always, at least one or two items. So I think I got this love for baking and the smell of freshly baked stuff in our house all the time. And it was always so convenient. And, it's just nothing beats the smell of fresh baked bread or fresh baked pastry coming in the oven. And so I've always, and I had a good eye and a good, talent for it. So I was always helping my mom with her baking at home. So, and I continued this on a personal level when I came to Canada. But then a bit by bit, I started, giving out some products to my friends and my family. And, when I had more free time on my hand, I would start trying new things. And then some of my friends mentioned this class, watch this video. They sent me some clips of, beautiful stuff. And by then, this trend of pastries and custom cakes stuff and started coming into the world, into the environment, and started becoming more popular. So and I was very interested in it. I would spend days and nights, watching all these beautiful videos, making all sorts of creations, and wondering how beautiful this is. So, and a friend suggested, why don't you take this class? Why don't you take that class? So I started taking some classes, and I fell in love with the whole process, doing something for myself, and it gives me a lot of happiness. I was good at it. I kept learning. I wanted to learn all the techniques. I came up with my own techniques. I just sitting into my workstation at home, having this like private space, doing your own thing, forgetting about all the, if you have a stressful day at work, or you just forget about all this and you just do what makes you happy. So I found my happiness in this. Or aside, because I had a stressful job on a full-time basis, and I had family to take care of. I originally worked as an architect and a medical designer, where I design all sorts of, work on hospital OR rooms, and design the medical stays that all the technicians and the patients and the cancer patient, all that stuff. So this was a very stressful job on a daily basis. I had to find something to take my mind off, and just my refuge to just, ground myself a little bit. So a bit by bit, this became my happy place to go to. And then I thought, and then friends started approaching me, with some requests. So I would, help them with it. And then I started getting paid for it. I thought, maybe there's an idea out there. It came, over the days and months and weeks and months. This turned into a nice business. I opened up a small Facebook page just to see how things are going. I opened it just not as a full, I didn't intend for it to be a business in all the full aspect of a business, but just to share my creations out there, just to let, the people around me that, yeah, I can do this. If you like something that you see, if you want something, if you want my help, you can talk to me. And then the page started growing. People I don't know started, contacting me and asking for things. And the more challenging the project is, the more happy I am to be able to make it. It's a tiring process. It was not the easiest thing in the world. I would, spend I would pull overnighters to get this thing going, because everything has to be done within a very short time frame, because, you cannot, because it's food related. There was so many aspects that you have to be working with. So you have to be working with a very short timelines to make sure that everything stays fresh and delicious. So, but it was tiring. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but the results were fantastic. I love making people happy. When my true happy moment was when I opened the box and showed the customer what I made, and you see the sparkle in their eyes when they say, "Wow, that is so beautiful." It always makes me so proud that I am the reason to help people feel that happy, and helping them with their special occasions and be a part of it. I found out that, pleasing people is my passion, and so this was a great time in my life that I'm always will be thankful for.
Oh, wow, that's very great. So you practically found your happy place out of your sea, and
Yeah,
through making people happy and
exactly. Yeah,
enjoying a smile on their faces.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's great. That's lovely. It's very lovely. So, what about you, Uzma? You're a survivor, and I personally appreciate the hope you've given to many children out there. So, what sparked this passion that turned into such a wonderful hope organization, the Hope KSA? Would you mind telling
Uh,
us more about the behind the scenes?
yeah, sure. I first of all, Heidi, loved your story. love that you are bringing your technical know-how, you translated into your dream, and nothing cheaper and better than baking. There's something about freshly baked bread in your house that is
Right.
welcoming, that is
Exactly.
comforting, and that is absolutely one of the cheapest therapies in the world. And this is coming in from a therapist. So very happy to hear that. I always tell people that, I didn't find my calling. My calling found me. I had just graduated from Turkey, come back after having done my master's, and I was just at home. I wanted to hibernate as long as possible before I could term myself as an unemployed, graduate. But within 2 months, in less than 2 months, I was happening to have a late night drive, and I saw a bus with it written on it with Jeddah Autism Center. Next day, I applied to them because I was very bored at home. I was just married and I had nothing at all to do after coming back over here from Turkey. And when I applied to them, they said, we have no vacancy, but we know another place that is in need of a clinical psychologist. So I applied over there, went over there. For 9 months, I worked over there. And then I came to find out that I was expecting. Now, it came at the absolute right time, because whenever I went to the management with suggestions on what I think should change, they would reject the idea and say, no, that's not applicable, that's not manageable. I mean, there was always something negative about any suggestion that goes to them. And I thought, well, you know what? If you want a job properly done, you need to do it yourself. You don't count on others to bring it to you. You go out and you do that yourself. And after 9 months, I left them because the doctor had told me I needed to be on bed rest. But I still continued my professional relationship with them. And when I left, they found that some of the foreign children that were there with them had no one else to, provide them with the therapy. So they requested me, can we send them over to your house? So I was on bed rest. And on my bedside, I had 3 children coming together for therapies, and I had my maid manage them as I was dealing with them from my bed. I continued that way. And when my daughter was born, in fact, the doctor had told me that, we feel that you need to send your amniotic fluids and blood tests and everything, get it done, because we feel, your child is not normal and you may want to, get an abortion done. And I think it did not even take me 5 seconds to say no. Whatever I have is a blessing and I will take it. It's a gift. And you don't refuse gifts. I'll take it, I said. I didn't even offer the test or anything. I thought to myself, tawakkal ala Allah. I am just going to accept whatever is given to me, because there's a reason behind for the gift as well. Left it at that. Alhamdulillah, my daughter was totally normal, every single thing. When she was 1 year old, I thought, you know what? I've been through this scare, and I'm sure there are many parents out there who have been with the same issues as I've gone through, emotional, this turmoil that you had to go through 9 months. Though I was at peace, but yes, that question mark, this also goes out to the doctors on how careful they should be when they address their patients or their clients, because you don't even know how much you're messing up with someone's mind. You do not know what kind of sensory systems Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designed in people. You don't know how vulnerable they are. You don't know what backgrounds they come from. You know nothing. It is just so easy to just say anything to parents who have not been well-informed or are ill-informed or purely ignorant. You have others who are educated yet jahil. There is a huge, this out there. And but that question mark was always with me. What if, although I was okay with everything, I didn't let it bother me, because maybe I was a first-time mom and I had no experience as well. So I think I was totally ill-prepared, maybe. Alhamdulillah for that. Sometimes it pays to be ignorant because it helps you with your own processes. And that's what happened. So when my daughter was 1, I decided, you know what? I've got 2 rooms that are empty. I had gotten separated from my husband. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use these 2 rooms instead of wallowing in self-pity. I need to be doing something and I was also going to Quran classes at the same time. I'm not a hugely religious person, but I'm definitely growing spiritually. And I read that, you know, if you want to look at anyone, look at those lower than you. Do not look at those higher than you. And I decided to focus on that, you know, rather than seeing what I do not have. I started focusing on what I do actually have. And my life just turned around from there. I started the center in the 2 rooms. I ran it for 2 months. And when I closed it, it was just a summer program. When I closed it for the summer, I had parents come into me and request me that for the first time, the children had something constructive to do. And they requested me, and these were all disabled children, and they requested me, can you not continue? There's nothing in Saudi Arabia for English speakers. And I thought, well, I can't have them in my house. What do I do? And I had a brand new apartment right opposite to my apartment that was free. I took that on. I told the parents, I had 9 children, and I told the parents, I want you to pay me 6 months in advance so I can pay the rent. They all gave me the advance. I paid 6 months advance as the rent. I started it, and when they gave me next 6 months in advance, I got furniture. And I grew from there. 5 years I was inside the apartment. And then I decided, because my cousins, my extended family is Saudi, so I decided to use their license in order to open up something. I did that. I was there for another 5 years. And finally, one day I came to hear that I got an international award for being one of the fastest emerging centers in the Middle East from international powers. This was a British company. And when I got that, I utilized that money. And at the same time, one of the sheikhs, Sheikh Hatem Jafali, gifted me a villa. And at the same time, I had all the diplomatic quarters help me raise funds through a bazaar. So I had 3 things happening to me at one go. And I utilized that in order to have a purpose-built facility, which has 33 rooms. And that's how we grew. Now, it was not meant to be charitable or not meant to be a not-for-profit. But when I was in the apartment, I had this lady called Razia. Her 2 daughters worked with me later on. But initially, when she first came, she said, I have 5 daughters and I have a son. And my son has got Down syndrome. And she said, but I cannot pay your fee, which was 1,000 Riyal a month. She said, I can give you 500 Riyal. And I told her, I'm sorry, I can only take 1,000 Riyal. And that's my fee, standard. And she went away. She returned back after a month. And she requested me again, went away, returned back again after a month. Now, this happened for the next 4 months, I think. Finally, when she came to me, she said, I'm not going to come in and bother you again. I just want you to answer one question. If you were from a low-income family, you had 5 daughters, you only had 1 son who was disabled, and you do not know where to turn to, whose door would you knock on? She said, give me the answer, I'll never come back. I think I did not sleep for 2 days. After 2 days, I gave her a call and I said, I can only knock on Allah's door. I have no other door in this world. And I said, bring your son in and just pay me whatever you want. Since that day, the center has operated on the same policy. Pay as you can. We only look at the father's income. We do not look at the mom's income, because that is, the mother's income is always there to, support the father's income. So, and if you do not have a father, then you do not pay anything. And we have a sliding scale of fees. So, Alhamdulillah, we look at the salary of the fathers, and according to that, we set the fee of the child. And one thing, going back, because I've been hearing Heidi, going back to her word, that she loves it when, when she pleases people, when she looks at the gleam in the eye, for me, it has been something similar, but of a different version out there, definitely, is to see people recover under me. I never had experience with children. I always worked with adults, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like I said, I did not find my calling. My calling found me. And I diverted into, working with children with disabilities. And it just grew on me. It was like I was born for this. And but I also work with women and children, and I'm also into counseling. So when I see somebody, broken, and because I come from a similar background, I should say, of pain, of brokenness, of damage, of trauma, whatever you can call that. But I don't focus on that. I have always focused on what has been the gifts in my life, and I've allowed them to grow. And alhamdulillah, to see people recover under my eye, and once they get my intervention. I had 3 young girls called Aisha, and when the first time, all 3 of them could not walk because they had cerebral palsy. The first time they walked, the first time they came running towards me, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, these are bigger than gifts. This is like seeing a part of Jannah in front of you. And it has been tremendous. And I think more than anything, I have not taught anyone anything. It's these children who have taught me. And they have opened up a whole new world to me. And if I have learned anything, it's because I've had the best of teachers.
That's incredible. Incredible. You are truly an inspiration, Uzma. You touched our hearts.
Jazakallah khair.
Aminu ayyakum. So let's travel a bit with Yasmine. So Yasmine, being the wanderer you are and being out of your sea, can you tell us more what drove you to do that? Was it because of the curiosity? Is it because of getting to know more people? What's the real reason behind Voyage?
Wow. I mean, I'm just sitting here amazed by Uzma's and just your story. My goodness, so much there. Since I was very, very young, I was observing or becoming aware of the inequalities that exist in the world. And in my case, in Morocco, I would just ask a lot of questions, and a lot of the questions were not answered. People would just say, this is just how it is. You have to accept. And there was a part of it, there was something in my heart that told me not to accept, to seek and to understand and to go deeper in these questions. And so I think the original inspiration, it was that feeling of, why are people not getting along? Why are we not in harmony? Why are, the rich and the poor in 2 different neighborhoods? Why are people don't have access to education and to just basic, human rights and dignity? And, why are women not speaking up? Why are, all these questions that I just could not get answers to. And I knew that the only way was to leave and, explore or just understand the world. I mean, I was very young. I was 15 years old when I was asking these questions. And I remember my uncle, I had an uncle who lives in California. He booked me a flight to visit him for a summer. And that was the first time that I would travel to the United States. And I remember feeling so alive. It was like I could just feel myself and, breathe. I could walk around without being harassed. I could, just be human. And when I came back to Morocco, I only had one goal, which was to leave. I love my country. I love Morocco. But I also realized that the inequalities are not just, they're everywhere. They're in the United States. And we saw that this past year with, the racial injustice and, Black Lives Matter and, just so many movements everywhere. And so I realized it's a planetary, issue. Wherever we are, there's so much inequality, but there's also so much beauty. And that was the interesting realization also, is as much pain as I was experiencing, I was also experiencing a lot of joy and goodness in people's hearts. So it was a paradox that I kind of, was navigating all over the world. I mean, I've been to 50 countries. I took a ground bus to every state, talking to strangers. I mean, I spent months and years in this question of identity, morality, assimilation, integration. Do I let go of my values? Do I assimilate, or do I integrate and be in this identity crisis, right? So all these fundamental questions were driving me throughout college, throughout my travels, through every conversation that I'm having with strangers. And but then eventually what I felt, and it was more of an awakening. That's where my kind of beginning of my journey, or my spiritual journey, started, is when I realized we're a human family. And if we take time to really listen to the human stories, we all share the same things, like the same feelings and emotions and, psychology, right? Like we all are struggling with these same fundamental questions. And that's when Voyage started to take shape. I wanted people to meet each other because I felt that if people met from different cultures and countries, they will remember their interconnectedness, that we're not so different, that we have more in common than not. And differences are good too. It enriches us. It expands our perspectives and our minds. And so that's the story, and it's it's unfolding, right? Like even as we are meeting today, I can feel in my heart that we have so much to learn from each other just by listening to our stories. I'm having so many realizations, how it all connects, all the things that we're working on. We all need to eat, we all need to take care of ourselves, to have basic education, to to travel, to be in community, and to be healthy, essentially to be in good health, bisaha. And what's amazing in all of this is I found the connection to spirituality and Islam, and it kind of like it just all made sense eventually, that everything that I experienced in my life at 27, it connects to every ayah in the Quran. So that's a little bit, one piece of the story, on how hospitality and strangers was my inspiration to found Voyage, so that other people can experience or invite them into a similar experience I've had.
Amazing. I love this. Amazing. So Heidi, Yasmine, and Uzma, if we say hypothetically that what if you never left your seat, your place, and stayed put, do you think your passion and purpose could have changed? So let's start with Heidi first.
I think my passion would still be there because I realized that it was already born with me, being at home with mom and what she did, and I realized that her effect has been always there from the beginning. Taking it to the full extent of turning this whole thing into a business, I am not sure if this would happen on that scale or not. Maybe I would, but I probably would turn, because now the reason is because now as we're talking, I'm starting to phase out of the idea of baking in its traditional form, and turning more towards turning this passion into more of a healthy pattern kind of thing. I'm turning in the recent year or so with COVID. I started looking into turning this business into a more on a healthier note. So I'm experimenting with sugar-free pastries, with gluten-free, because with all these epidemics in the world, the gluten sensitivity, the obesity pandemic in the whole world, it just keeps growing, and people are suffering from it without their knowing, because it's just the demand is there, and but there is no like big guidance, especially if I have not left my home country. It's not a popular idea to enjoy such treats on a healthier note. Plus, it comes with a big dollar value as well. I think I would have gone more towards setting up a business where you can have your treat, but again, with taking care of yourself first. You cannot just consume anything and not aware of how it affects you and how it affects your mood, how it affects your body. This is what you need to be mindful of. It's starting to come up now back in Egypt as I follow the news there, but it's on a very low level just because the cost is very high. So I would have that passion to make a revolution on the way we eat, and make it accessible to everyone with a very low cost, hopefully, and making sure that I do not feel that guilty when I make all these nice things and introduce it to the customers. And I'm aware that it might be that bad for them, especially with kids. Kids, they don't really know better. And so having a guidance in this area would be more of a pressing passion for me to dive into and make it available for people over there. I think I like to entertain the idea that I want to bring this into them. I want to educate them about it because I've read so much. I took a lot of courses on that. I studied so much within the healthy baking environment. And I know how ingredients work with each other. I know how to make things taste good, but at the same time, it's good for you. You're not just eating empty calories. You're eating something good for your body and for your health, for your brain. And at the same time, it's good for you. It's good. It makes you feel good because you're treating yourself the right way. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your body to be treating your body with respect. And at the same time, you make yourself feel good about it.
Interesting. So let's say, Uzma, what about you?
Where would my journey be if I had not left, India? I think, your true calling would find you wherever you are. You're going to do whatever you are meant to do in this world, irrespective of where you are. So I think my journey would be somehow similar, but I am not the sort who looks at closed doors and think of what should have been, what could have been, what must have been. I think the focus is on the future. The attention and my energy is on the future rather than on the past. Me leaving the country, I was too young to even protest. I didn't even have control over my diapers. If you really look at it, I was a baby. So there's no way I could have rebelled and said, no, I'm staying back, you go ahead. So there was no choice in that. And I believe I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think, now the whole attention is on the future, on what can be, what are the possibilities. I say dream big or go home. And I loved what Yasmine had to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, that was Yasmine, right? With the beautiful tonal quality from Morocco. Her saying that, she felt empowered and free when she first flew. And I could understand that. When she said that line, I was actually flying with her, possibly in the seat next to her. That's how it feels, when you dream big, when you achieve something. It gives that same sense of feeling as if you're traveling. And I believe I am definitely maybe one of those time travelers. And somewhere in me, I think I feel like an alien on this planet, to be honest with you. When I go to India, I don't fit in anywhere in India because never lived over there. And in Saudi Arabia, you try to fit in, and alhamdulillah, it's one of the most peaceful lands, generous lands. But again, you don't have the nationality, so you feel that you neither belong here nor there for a lot of people. But alhamdulillah, for the connection, not just due to Makkah and Medina, but the connection to the soil. And we all know how generous the earth is. All of us know this, be it working with dough, be it working with the soil, the medium, the kind of medium that you're working with your hands. It's all very therapeutic, no matter what medium you are touching. There's something about working with substances, some medium in your hand, that allows you to heal from somewhere else. Be it your connection to food, be it your connection to travel, be it your connection to books, writing them or reading out to other people. All these mediums are a way of healing and recovering ourselves. So I do not know what my life would have been like, but definitely it would have been along the same lines, because a huge part about me is what the other ladies are narrating about. It's all of us have got, yes, as Yasmine said, commonalities between us. The thread that is running between all of us is very common. We may have different versions of it. Some may have it lengthy, some may have it short, some thick, some very narrow, some very weak, maybe with frayed ends, maybe. We do not know, but it's all the same. So I was taught this by a very spiritual person long back. And they had told me, when you start the center, you are a divorced woman, single in Saudi Arabia. Single in Saudi Arabia is already difficult. And to be a foreigner and divorced and single in Saudi Arabia is much more tougher. Anybody can say that to you. And it's tougher anywhere, not just in Saudi Arabia. So that spiritual person, I had gone to meet him in Makkah, and he had told me that, something, people are very wrong when they think they love giving. When you're constantly a giver and not a taker, you lose. When you're constantly a taker and not a giver, you lose. The main khair and the main barakah is in a relationship. It can be any relationship between two friends, two speakers as right now, or a customer and a seller. It can be between a patient and a therapist. It can be a mother and father, husband and wife, siblings, friends, anyone. A relationship in which there is no equal give and take is one of no khair and no barakah. And that's the day I realized, what he's saying does make a lot of sense. So initially started off as a not-for-profit, totally charitable, and then making it happen and making it, people realize as well that charity is also a business. You still need to make a profit because the place has to run and it has to grow. So where does the money for growth comes from? It's not been an easy journey at all. Highly challenging. You get accused a lot. You have to be very careful because you're working with extremely vulnerable groups, be it disabled children or be it vulnerable women or emotionally or physically battered women. All of them are in a very fragile state.
Now then, Yasmine, you can tell us about your voice and how do you feel about what Uzma said? And do you really think you're going to change if you didn't go out of your sea?
I want to share a quote that someone had told me as I had to, because I actually recently got my green card 2 weeks ago, which is really exciting. So I'm able to now have the choice to return to the US, which is a beautiful thing. After being in Morocco for a year, doing that reconnection and reconciliation with my own culture and my upbringing. So it's been beautiful. So why do we go away? So that you can come back, so that you can see the place you came from with new eyes and extra colors, and the people there see you differently too. Coming back to where you started is not the same as never leaving. And this is a quote by Terry Pratchett, A Heart Full of Sky. What I love about this quote is it really exemplifies my experience. If I hadn't left Morocco at 17 and returned 10 years later, I would maybe, probably have a different path. And, we know that all paths are beautiful and okay. But for me, I definitely sense that people are listening to what I have to share, because I have so many stories of people that I have met that they want to understand the world through my eyes sometimes. So it's a beautiful experience to, and I also feel like I'm seeing Morocco completely different as an adult versus as a young 15-year-old, girl who does not understand what's going on, and confused in a sense by all the societal expectations and rules. But now I feel free. I'm free because I overcame a lot of my own limitations and let go of a lot of the cultural conditioning, so that I could make the choice to be here and to choose where I want to go next. So my hope is that I can help where I can, but not put the weight of the world on my shoulder, because I did that too for some years, and I was so unhappy. I was always worried about the world, and that I needed to kind of save it, which is not possible alone. So my invitation to all the listeners today is that we all have a mission and we all have our purpose. I loved what I think Rasha was sharing earlier, that finding your why. What is your why? What is that thing that makes you feel alive? And it doesn't have to be the same as mine or Heidi's or Uzma. It could be something completely different. It might be, sewing, or being a good mom, or, starting a business. Whatever it is, like, commit to that why. Because I feel like when I live in the purpose, then no matter where I am physically, I'm feeling connected to the world and to humanity. And that is the gift. That is the gift that I hope to share and to connect with other souls in this world on, that soulful, common thread of our humanity. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So I loved when you said that you reconciled with your culture after you came back. So coming back and leaving and coming back made you realize how wonderful is your culture and how meaningful is it to be a part of the Moroccan culture and your country, whether it has the perfect side or has the non-perfect side. So reconciliation together has been brought because of you been out of your sea.
Absolutely.
Great. That's wonderful and a very perfect way to end this segment before going into the other one. So let's move on to the next segment, which is wonderful also.